So this is the Richardson family outing, episode 461,000. We're here in the beautiful Haley Dell, in Whitworth, and we're basically scouting out for them squirrels today, looking around trees and see if we can spot any greys, because we're not going to spot no reds because we're all dead. And if we find any squirrels, then we know we've seen some. There we go. It looks like we've seen something interesting. I have to go back to the gang. I'm pretty sure they've found some kind of fungus. This is very interesting, isn't it?
I found it first. What's that? It engulfed a pole.
There's a pole engulfed in a tree. And then we've got some black mushrooms there. I wonder what we could do with those. I think you can set fire with those mushrooms. I think like you collect them and you can actually burn really well. Let's try and get down here. Oh crap, a bit slippy on these leaves. What?
Victorian bank.
Say what?
Victorian water bank.
How do you know it's Victorian? How do you know it's Victorian? Come on, tell us your expertise. What? You don't know that's Victorian. You're just assuming it's Victorian.
It might be from World War II, World War One, maybe.
It might be from World War II, World War One, or they might have built it in 80s. You don't know, mate. It's just a wall. So
I can tell it's Victorian.
all I'm saying is it's important to use your noggin. You know, I get this, when I'm going on a walk, right, I feel like when we see this kind of stuff, it just ruins planet Earth for me. Like, I want to be away from that there. You know, I want to even be away from that green one there, because it doesn't look natural, right? But, you know, down there where that nice river is, and all through there, that's nice, that's what I want to be around. And this here is just a reminder to me that we live in this caged off society and we're all just slaves. We're all slaves to the system. We're the only species on this planet that pays to survive. We have to work his arse off to develop enough money in order to have some kind of, illusory sense of freedom. And you work your arse off and then you get too old before you can actually do anything. All of your life force energy starts depleting. You don't feel very vibrant anymore. And then by the time all your work's finished and you're in a position where maybe you can do what you want, you're too old to do it and you've got no energy and you find yourself moping around slow as shit. And then you die. I'm trying not to do that. I mean, I started with the whole self-employment thing. But it's just the nature of a different prison, isn't it? It's just, even though I enjoy my art and everything, it's become a job now. And this is why I'm trying to move into things like, nature photography, travelling around, doing different things, because, it's just trying to escape the matrix as much as possible. Simon! Yeah. Anyway, check this out. I'm going to have to come up here with camera and get inside there and do some cool urban shots, like the, what they call them. Anyway, dilapidated old used buildings, dangerous places and that, where you get ghosts and ghoulies and crackheads. Probably worse than ghosts. And that there, I don't mind graffiti like that. That is a cool piece of art, that is. I mean, all these guys going around, drawing dicks everywhere and, writing shit like Baz or whatever they write. And it's just like, it's like nobody's just stopping there and going, oh, that's cool. But that shit there, that catches your attention, that does. Love to do a bit of graffiti. But again, I'd love to do lots of things, but the matrix kind of suckers me into creating security and feeding children and looking after my assets and all these things. And I'd love nothing more than to let all that go, buy myself a canal boat, live on canal, me, my doggy, my camera, and then just go out, make little nature videos, season by season, logging everything that I see, learning all about the nature. And, taking photographs and selling prints, and it'd be great, that. That, there. Why? There's only 13% woodland left in this country, and people are dumping shit all over it. What's that? Iron Monkey and Baby Yoda.
I'm calling it Iron Monkey because I don't know.
Am I supposed to know who these guys are?
No, I only know that one.
Looks cool. That's cool, right? Not as cool as the last piece, but, it's acceptable. But that, what's all that about? Anyway, whilst there's no such thing as really going the wrong way, because you always go where you're supposed to go in life, because there's there's a grand design to everything, or at least I believe so. It turns out we've gone the wrong way.
Behind you, Dad.
So, sorry guys, get your steps in, you're all good. There we go, that's what I should be doing. We've not really gone the wrong way, but we have. Because we didn't go where we intended to go, we went somewhere else by accident. So technically you could say that's the wrong way, although it's not really the wrong way in the grand scheme of things. So it's interesting when you look at things like that, you see, because you don't have to be stressed about it then. You just think, oh, this is where we ended up then, is it? Well, let's just try and end up somewhere else then. I've developed over this last few years a deep and intrinsic love for nature. Animals, wildlife, photography, all that good stuff, you know. And I want to get out into it more often, you know, for physical, mental health and just for communicating and connecting with other like-minded people. So I'm going to start a YouTube channel called The ADHD Photographer. The channel's been up for a while, but I've not posted anything on it yet, but I'm planning on getting it going because it's not just about photography, it's about nature, it's about my thoughts, about life, it's about, you know, self-improvement and all that kind of stuff. Because I have let myself slip a little bit recently, I'm not going to lie. I've been very, what's the word, focused on, or putting all my energy into my artwork and then neglecting myself and my diet and my general health because I'm piling so much energy into what I'm doing. And I feel like we've only got a certain amount of energy to put into things, and I've put so much energy into building up my business that I've neglected myself. And now it's time to have a little bit of a rethink about that stuff and then spend a bit more time working on myself, getting out in nature, doing some photography and all that good stuff. And if there's all I can share from my experiences, because I went from, you know, being a kind of spiritual seeker, if you will, when I first moved up here about 10 years ago, and that developed. And then I started using those understandings to develop a successful business, which I've achieved now. And now it's about time to, you know, I've raked everything in. I'm going to have a nice out breath now and start thinking about what's important in my life and, you know, fostering a kind of more positive future, if you will. You know, I plan on being a healthy old person. You know, I don't need to keep earning money all my life. You know, I can survive either way. I don't need to chase any more success. Not really. I'm not, you know, my state of happiness, if anything, has only declined slightly since I've actually chased that. So it's not added anything to my thing. It's given me some more positive experiences to see the world and to be able to afford to do certain things, I guess. But in general, my overall state of happiness hasn't really changed since before I had money. I'm in a happy relationship, that's all well and good, and I'm very happy for that. But I feel like the negatives to that are counterbalanced with the overworking and all that stuff, right? So, you see, my life kind of feels like this fella right now. A little bit tangled up, right? All I need to do is just unwrap the lead a little bit like that, you see. And then we'll be all right, won't we? When I look at, you know, influencers such as Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Descartes, and all these lot, right? And what they've essentially said is this, right? You should focus in life on the things that's within your control and not worry about the things outside your control. Because if you can't control it, you've just got to ride it, you see. That's what they're trying to say. If things come along in your life that are outside of your control, then when you're trying to control the uncontrollable, what does that create? It creates resistance. And resistance, it's like pushing the boulder up the hill. You can't control the boulder. You might be able to push it so far, but it's eventually just going to roll back down and win. So this is like what we do. We get, you know, given all these lovely ideas from the system, from the matrix, and they say, if you work hard or if you do this, you can achieve this and this and this, and then you'll be happy. And then you'll be happy. And the way I see it is like, you know, we're all kind of on this conveyor belt, right? And on this conveyor belt, like a big airport conveyor belt, and it goes on for miles, right? There's all this beautiful scenery and things to see all around us. And then at the end of the conveyor belt, we all know that we're going to fall off the edge and go splat. We're going to go off the edge of a cliff and whee, splat, right? And all these people are fighting and arguing and holding all this baggage on this conveyor belt without realising that at the end of it, they're all just going to go splat. And then, you know, there's me who started out on my spiritual journey, if you will, letting go of everything. Yeah, I don't need that. I chucked it over the conveyor belt and I stood on the side and gracefully smiled and looked at all the beautiful things around me, and I enjoyed the journey. And then what happened is I saw this big sign. Say, oh, I feel free now. My mind started wandering and it thought, what can I do next? So I started developing and gathering more luggage and started a business and thought I enjoyed it and thought that, you know, that it would be some kind of success. It would bring some kind of stability and happiness and all this stuff. And now I'm stood on this bloody conveyor belt carrying just as much shit, if not more, than most people. So I'm going to throw it all over the belt again, you see. I'm going to chuck it all away. I don't need it. And just crack on and enjoy the view again. And that's what we need to do. So maybe life is a series of doing that for a lot of people. Some people will carry it all their lives, some people let it go and pick it back up. Other people just carry it, never carry it, And when it's very heavy, it is not good for your health, is it? Because over time you start to give out, and much of the time you might give out before you end up over the edge of the conveyor belt. You might die on the belt. Who knows? But that's life. Descartes said this: the most philosophical question one can ask is whether to commit suicide or not. That sounds very dark when you listen to it, because he weren't saying, oh, you should commit suicide. What he was saying is, you either accept the absurdities of life or you end it. Because there is no in-between. Because the in-between is the juggling and carrying all the weight on the conveyor belt, you see. It's the resistance. It's the suffering. It's the hardships. The attachments to all of the things that come and go in your life. So you either end your life, and there you'll find peace, or you accept that life is where it is and you don't need to attach to everything, and there you'll find peace. That's what he was trying to say. Most people can't do that because they fear letting go of attachments. You've got to drop that fear, because you know for a fact that if everything was stripped away from you tomorrow, life would find a way and you'd be fine. There are people out there living on the streets even who end up fine. Maybe some of them don't. But if you've got drive and inclination and the ability to manifest and to be useful, then what can happen is you could end up in a better position. The universe finds a way for those who just allow it to unfold without resistance. That is essentially what I need to start integrating in my own life, and what I'd encourage other people to integrate in their lives as well. In my industry, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of cutthroat, dog-eat-dog mentality. People doing nasty things to other business owners because they think it's going to get them more business and all this stuff. And it's all based in fear. Fear that you're not going to be enough, you're not going to earn enough, and you're not going to have enough security. Stop judging your worth based on other people's perceived worth, or how you perceive another person's worth. I don't look at artists that I think are better than me and go, oh, I need to do this. I just stay in my own lane, I'm inspired by other people's work, but I don't feel a sense of, I don't feel a sense of longing to compete with anybody, if that makes sense. Because I'm a unique expression of myself and I don't need to be like anyone else, you see. See this tree? This tree right here. That tree's got a whole number of years of suffering to come, right? Because I'm a magician. And I just walked over and I gave that tree a mind. Now he's called Timmy the Tree, right? And basically, now Timmy has an identity. And he says, I am a tree, I'm separate. There's nothing connecting me to any other tree. I'm on my own now. And, Timmy the Tree is going to sit there and he's going to remember all of the past days, and he's going to be fearful of all the future days. All the kids walking past, picking leaves off him, the thunderstorms, the rain, the snow, right? Everything. Watching all the other trees fall down in the storm around him. And he's going to suffer because he's got a mind and a self-identity. Or, as a magician, if I could walk back over and take his mind away from him, all that stuff is still happening around him, but the tree isn't aware of it, so thus the tree doesn't suffer. The tree carries on growing and it becomes a big strong tree that grows towards the sun, to the divine. So if you can kind of take a lesson from that, you could think, well, maybe I could be more like the tree without the self-identity. How do you do that? Well, what you do is you accept the way that life's going, regardless of the good and bad, and you find value in it, you find appreciation in it. You don't worry about what's already been and gone, because it's been and gone, and you can't change it. So don't focus on it if you can't change it. And don't worry about what's about to happen, because that might never happen. It's just imagination. So why would you suffer over your own imagination? That's just nonsense. That's ludicrous. So essentially what that whole philosophy there is really showing is that we live in an entire society full of delusional people. And people are delusional because they believe in yesterday and they fear tomorrow. You know, they resent yesterday and they're fearful of tomorrow. They believe that the past exists and it's a kind of reality, and they believe that the future exists and that's a kind of reality, whereas the past's already been and gone and it's only an imagination at this point, and the future's not happened and it's an imagination at this point. So people spend their entire lives being fearful of their own imaginations and expect everybody else to understand and validate them and all this kind of stuff, and they're fearful of their own imaginations, and it creates this false matrix-fueled delusion that we call reality. But the reality is it's always an unfolding, ever-present nowness of which none of these things are happening. The only thing that's happening right now is I'm walking with my doggy, I'm getting wet and I'm talking to a camera. I don't have to worry about what I did 5 minutes ago, what might happen in 5 minutes time, whether there's a car coming around that corner over there. I can be alert of it. I don't have to worry about it though, you know, because it might come and it might not come, and if it comes it might hit me, it might not hit me, it depends on my actions at the time, and my mind can get so tired thinking about all these things that, you know, it can become an absolute painful experience. Now, as I've just spoken there, seen the most beautiful looking bird, which is, hang on, it's coming to me. Heron! It was a heron. Yes, sorry, I should have known that. My brain's doing too many things at once. So yeah, there's a beautiful heron down there. It's a shame I didn't bring my camera. I would have had a shot of that dude. You know, rather than being so wrapped up in what might happen, what could happen, you know, I've got my faculties enough to keep me safe, but I'm more interested in observing nature as I'm going and not worrying about everything else. My head's not in the clouds with all this stuff. I'm focused on what's around me. And you know, when you're like that, you see so much more to appreciate. And today we need that, because you've got all these kids that are glued to screens, and people that are glued to screens, and glued to addiction. It's all about like how much dopamine can somebody release all at once, you know, because people are becoming dopamine addicts as a way of kind of escaping what's really around them. But when you just stop and you slow down and you look around you, you'll realise that it doesn't matter how many shows you've watched, how much music you like, how many drugs you like to experience, or any of this stuff. There's nothing more beautiful than when you catch a bird of prey in a tree and you watch it in its natural habitat. Or, you know, you look at the way that the water is just sort of dropping off the leaves on a rainy day, or the way the light catches the trees, or any of these things, you know. And these are absolutely fantastic things to experience when you can find a deep appreciation for it. And also the peace of it. You know, it's a good reminder of how you should be yourself. You're like a waterfall, and you put your own bucket underneath it. You know, it's like disrupting your own flow in life because you get wrapped up in all these different things. And that makes you controllable, because now the system can basically make you believe you need this and you need that, and it can control you here. And it uses your own addictions and impulses against you. But when you develop a kind of mental mastery, and you wake your ass up and you look at the world and you see what's really important, what's right in front of you, without the past and future, without all of these, you know, addictions and all this stuff, then you see kind of a blooming in your life. Things open up and meaning starts to creep through. Real meaning, you know, and that is basically what I've come to learn in my 38 almost years on the planet. This is Rex. Hi Rex. I don't think he looks very happy, love.
I know, it's freezing.
It's a bit rainy, isn't it, mate? Yeah, you're not appreciating nature. He's thinking about his bed. So even he's thinking about the future that doesn't exist, you see. I genuinely think that dogs do have a kind of like sense of self in a similar way that we do, which is interesting. Maybe not quite as thing, you know. in 5 minutes, if your dog craps on your carpet, you go in there and 10 minutes later and scold him for it, or tell him off or whatever, he's not going to know what you're on about. He's going to be like, what? I don't understand. I don't believe it. I don't even have a concept of anything you just spoke about, because that happened 10 minutes ago, which is completely not even a concept to me. That's why they're so loyal and loving and so tuned in to the present moment. So, yeah, you know, I think they're wiser than us.